Kenny, and it's Milka. How are you, Milka?
I am doing well, Kenny. How are you?
I'm good. Also, welcome everybody. You're at LMSchat. We're your hosts. It's pretty much how it goes. How's your day going?
My day is going really well. It was a really busy day. I'm learning a lot about video and photography and mental health, just everything in between. So I am loving my job as the days go by.
Amazing. You love that. I'm not loving my job. Pretty much opposite. But we out here, we're living. I love this job.
We support you, Kenny.
Thank you. And a part of my job is getting to introduce my amazing co-hosts. So if you don't know a little bit about Milka and Moret, they like their burgers well done because, of course they don't. And they had braces from 2006 to 2013. What a time, 7 years. Milka, comment on, wow.
I mean, I feel really bad for my parents' wallets.
Right, that makes sense.
I don't think I appreciated them as much as I should have. And I like my meat silent. I don't want it, barking at me as I eat it. I like them dead when I eat burgers.
So such a black mood. Truly, I didn't even know what well done meat was, but I was told always to ask for it at every place I go every time.
And everything's like, I don't know. I don't have the digestive system for anything.
That's also real. That's real. I'm figuring that out about myself. Okay, introduce me.
I'm trying to. So my colleague and co-host Kenny Carroll, DC native, at Kenny Carroll. I hope that's your handle. So he owns 2 plants, and he also had braces twice, and still needs braces. So, are you going to ask your parents to,
I should. Now that you mention it, I should, because it's like, hey, yo, 3D. Guys, I know I have my own income, but come on. Shout out to because they're still my parents, right? You don't age out of that. I don't know what else to say. That's their job. Okay, whatever. Getting past introductions, we have an amazing show for you guys today. Real quick rundown of how things go here. We bring in an amazing guest who is featured on the LMS curriculum. If you're interested, we'll be talking more about that later, and we'll also put links for that in the chat. But we bring them in to talk about the poem that they have featured on the LMS curriculum. We talk to them about that poem. We talk to them about their life. We get to know them. We've done, at this point, Milka, I think if I'm not mistaken, 1 million of them. We've done a million of these.
1,000,007, I think.
That's what I was feeling. It was close, a little bit more than that. Okay, so we've done 1,000,007 of these with a bunch of amazing artists who I don't even have the energy to name, because if I utter their names, the energy, that's how big their names are. So yeah. So stay tuned. We do this every last Thursday. And that's that. Milka, am I forgetting things?
Just to add on, so for those of you that are new to the show, our rundown is always, we start off with introductions, we bring on our guests, they read their poem, and then we start off with our poetry section, where we kind of interrogate them about their artistic craft regarding the poem that they just perform. And then we go into culture questions and kind of understand the person as a whole and beyond them, beyond their pen. And then afterwards, we kind of have a fun little section called Chop It Up, where we kind of quick fire, ask them cool, fun, more lighthearted questions. And I'm just super proud to be a part of this. It's been a really, really nice way to end the month, end the month, start a new month. And something just really important to note that we are always trying to find ways to make this more accessible. So you should notice closed captioning, and you're able to adjust any settings that you have if you go to the More button. And you can increase the text or decrease the text depending on your needs. But with that, Why don't we, why don't we start kind of giving our guests a little bit of a introduction to who Alexa Patrick is.
I'm down. Alexa Patrick, who knows? No, I'm joking. We have a bio. Oh, comedy. Alexa Patrick is a singer and poet from Connecticut. Shout out any Connecticut. I don't know the correct terminology for Connecticut people, but you know, that's y'all.
Connecticutians, something.
Connecticut, that's what it was. Thank you. She holds fellowships from Cave Canem, Obsidian, and the Watering Hole. Alexa was the 2019 head coach of the DC Youth Slam team and has held teaching positions through Split This Rock, the University of the District of Columbia, and the Center for Creative Youth at Wesleyan University. Alexa has coached the slam teams of American University and George Washington University for the College Union Poetry Slam Invitational, also known as CUPSI.
She is an open mic host at Busboys and Poets and has performed at the Schoenberg Center and the Kennedy Center. Her work has been nominated for a Pushcart Prize, as well as led her to be selected to participate in Tin House's Winter Workshop. You may find Alexa's work in publications including The Query, The Rumpus, Crown Magazine, and the Breakbeat Poets Volume 2, Black Girl Magic. Her debut collection, Remedies for Disappearing, will be published by Haymarket Books in 2023. She also comes from Connecticut, which is also known as a nutmeg state, as Alexa has highlighted. So without further ado, please everybody get your virtual hands up and invite our guest, Alexa Patrick.
Woo! Oh my God. Hi everyone. Yeah, let me start off with reading this poem. The first boy to call me beautiful had hair like a waving fist, walked down the hallway, radius of curl, beckoning white hands that he'd allow, though I'd watch a little light in him dim to tar. This, a language us onlys have, where no language need exist at all. Survival, head nod. Richie was his name, but he came to our town escaping a poor Harlem corner, moved in with a white family, started playing lacrosse. Think Fresh Prince meets The Blind Side meets other stories of roots lost for progress. This, while I convinced myself to like salad just for the Abercrombie jeans hanging in my closet, push straight hair over scabs on my scalp, the need to fit louder than the burn crawling up my neck. Most times, his friends, no-lip white boys spit in my direction, then messaged me to ask what my mouth might do, knowing they'd pass me in hallways later, laughing. Imagine my joy, looking down to see his name lighting the phone, a new tone ringing as blood pushed and softened the black of my cheeks. You're beautiful, from the only boy who might understand what those words mean. But don't tell anyone I said that, okay?
Give it up for the poet. Obviously you can't hear people, but every time Alexa reads, it's that fire, that Beretta. How are you, Alexa?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. I'm a little concerned that that Milka's meat barks. As a vegan, that's kind of the thing that's been sticking with me for the past 5 minutes. But other than that, we're good. We're fine.
How
are you doing, actually?
Wow.
I'm fine. How are you?
I am doing great. I am thinking about my meat barking and might be the Batman signal for me to go vegan. So maybe this is the introduction.
Listen, maybe this is why I'm here today.
Alexa, how long have you been vegan?
This is 6 years. 6 years. 6 years vegan, and then 2 years vegetarian before that. So 8 years total plant-based.
Wow.
Alexa putting me to, I'm a vegetarian. I have been for 4 years, but
yeah.
Vegetarian. I did not know you were vegetarian. I didn't know you were a vegetarian.
But I'm also 6 years. Alexa consistently trying to undermine my amazing accomplishments.
All I'm trying to say is, you know what doesn't bark? Okay, just letting you know.
That's period. Okay. Thank you for this amazing poem. Again, it was published in the Rompus. We put that link there if you want to read it. Alexa, one place we love to start with some of the people we have here is just coming back to this poem. How does it feel coming back to it?
It feels interesting. I don't really know how to describe it. I think this is the first poem that I've written ever where every single thing is like just completely true. Like I didn't change, like not even like a little thing, like the names are all, yeah, this is about Richie. So it's like, you know, it's a very strange feeling, but also a very exciting feeling to be like just telling the truth and telling it loudly. But I'm feeling good. Yeah.
That's real. I'm curious about, I think I'm trying to figure out if the question is like, why do we shy away from telling the truth more, or why, like, I also feel like it's a big decision to like pin just all truth all at the same time, like this is all real. So I'm curious, how did you, like, was that a decision you had to make, or is this something that?
Yeah, it's a decision that I made intentionally, because, like, I mean, the poem is the poem, but the poem is also the fact that this dude, when I was like 16 years old, told me not to tell anyone that he thought that I was beautiful. And what's more poetic than like 12 years later, publishing it and putting it on the internet for the world to be like, guess who told me that he thought I was beautiful? You know, like that's really where the poem is for me. The snitching.
That's perfect. Go, Milka. Yeah.
I mean, so, you know, just kind of on that note, what made you decide to choose to phrase the title of the poem, "The First Boy to Call Me Beautiful"? Like you could have chosen any aspect of it, you know, any more ambiguous, but you've just been like knife cutting, like no beating around the bush.
Well, that's it, right? Like, well, so for one, I'm a big fan of using the title as the first line of the poem. So, and then also, I wanted to make the title like, you know, kind of unassuming, where like it sets people up to go on this journey with me. They know what the poem is about. It's very simple, but they don't necessarily know how it's going to end. And so I wanted to set them up really for the kind of gut punch in the last line.
Yeah, no, that's real. Where's that question? Because me and Milka were just like, and Milka can talk about it later, but this poem, I'm not trying to put Milka's business out there, but this poem slammed Milka. Obviously it hit me, but so when we were talking about the ending, where's the question? So yeah, this ending absolutely tore us up. What does this line in text where it's like, but don't tell no one I said that, okay? And how did you know it needed to be in this piece, like the actual text from it?
Well, I mean, I really just wanted to tell what happened, right? Like it's really just a story, and I do it through the poem. But you know, I wanted my audience to feel the disappointment that I felt at the time. And I didn't want them to like have all the fluff after where I like interrogate what it meant and like getting all the nuances. I literally just wanted them to feel the same very specific kind of disappointment that Black girls often feel. And yeah, so I mean, so that's where the line just came in. I knew that that's where it had to land. Yeah, and then I had to remember what his text actually looked like, and I was like, I'm sure that he would have put the NE1. Shout out to like 2011 or whatever that was, 2010. Yeah.
And I mean, you definitely accomplished that. Like I was going through an emotional roller coaster. I'm like, like it's like a love story in the rough, and then you're like, at the end you're like, wait, what? Like.
Yeah. Yep.
Like anybody, him, it needed to be him. And it was just like, wow. And like, I mean, I really like resonated with the poem. I think like Black boys, boys in general, like, right, like anti-Blackness towards Black women, like that specific kind of harm, or not harm, but just almost specific exploitation and
yeah, it is a specific, it is a harm, and it's a specific hurt, and it like, it's difficult to name it as such because, you know, I also understand him. And so one of the things that I struggle with in general with my writing is wanting to protect so much people who hurt me, because I understand why they did it and why they chose to do it. And I try to write around their choices. But the thing is, it was his choice, you know? So, you know, that's also one of the reasons why I decided to just like be 100% honest in this piece, is because like, I also want to train myself to, you know, to tell the truth, to lean into the both, and like, yes, I understand why he did it, and this is exactly what he did and what happened and how I felt.
So. When you say that, it makes me think how it's like in my brain when I read it, it's like he did it for survival, but survival at your expense.
Exactly. Ooh, not this tornado warning. Y'all heard it? Yeah, it is going down in Southwest DC. I swear my phone was on silent, but they were like, no.
This is why, for any DC heads, don't go to Southwest. I'm joking. We love you, Southwest. I feel like so much, Alexa, so much of, it's funny because you have Connecticut in your bio. I feel like in a few years, you're going to have to put Southwest in the bio as well. Southwest in the waterfront state.
Yeah, you know, it's both. It's definitely both, because like I'm walking through Southwest DC as a Connecticut gal. Okay, so like I'm seeing it through the lens of someone who's just like, okay, but couldn't a gazebo go right there? You know, like that's my mentality.
Guys, gazebo?
Like gazebo? Just no.
Oh, shout out to what exterior decorating gazebos. But you can put your gazebo politics in the chat. Okay, other poetry questions we had. One thing I saw, like with the form, it's kind of in these stanzas, and each stanza ends in this way where it kind of fades. And again, you can look at this poem on the rumpus, but it kind of fades towards the right. And I'm curious if that was just, if the form was something that just kind of came about when you were writing it, or what was the intention behind like the way each line kind of ends that way?
Yeah, so I'm continuing to learn form and to feel it out and to feel what feels right for me. A lot of times when I write, I tend to just be like, no, it's just gonna be this shape. But I need to break out of that. So, you know, this is one of the pieces where I was just like, you know, like what do I feel? You know, what just like feels right? And I don't know, there's something very teenage about telling a story and having it kind of trail off. You know, and you're like, yeah, so, you know, there was this boy, Richie, and, you know, when he told me that I was beautiful, but that, like, you know, like there's like that. So like, that's my version of that.
That's great. We love that. I'm also curious now talking about it, because I think that's also why the poem hit us so hard too, is there's just this like, whenever we go back to talking about being a teenager, I think all those emotions and everything, that whole world just kind of sweeps back into us. This isn't a question we have, but I'm curious about like when you, and maybe not just in this poem, when you go back to write as a teen, doing honesty like to your teenage years, what does that process look like for you? Is it any different? And is there any kind of like limitations, or is it just like, oh yeah, I'm slipping into the teen is me?
Well, my high school experience and my teenage experience is one of my obsessions, you know, like, so that is mostly what I write about. Like I'm still there, like I'm trying to work it out. Not to mention, I am a child of pop culture. I watched a lot of One Tree Hill and like Gossip Girl and all like the rom-coms and things like, so like, you know, like those are my references for for these kind of milestones of like getting older. So like, that's why like, oh my God, my first kiss. Oh my gosh, the first boy to call me beautiful. Like this idea of firsts and the excitement around that, like that is where I write all the time. So, you know, one of the series that I have coming out, and the next poem actually that I have coming out through the Rumpus is one of these prom erasures, where I've been talking a lot about prom and people's prom experiences, and then making poems out of that with an erasure. So like, I say all that to say, I'm a teenager at heart. Like that's it. That's where I live.
I love that.
Yeah.
Honestly, you didn't even read any of the poem, but as soon as you said prom and erasure, I was like, I'm ready to cry now. I'll start crying.
I'm excited about it.
Now.
I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
One of our audience members, Fiza Fatima, who's a poet, she also wanted to know who, like, where do you start when you're writing a poem? Like, I know you talked about how like you like to like start the first sentence of your poems as the title. But like, does it start there? Does it start with a line, an image? Like, where are you prioritizing between the first draft and future drafts?
It depends. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be a feeling where I'm just like, I want to write a poem that is joyful, or I want to write a poem that is a celebration. Like sometimes it's just starting there, sometimes it's with an image. A lot of times lately it's been through story. So like I'll ask my parents, mom's in the audience right now, shout out, hi. I'll ask my parents, you know, about just a story in the past, and I'll ask questions about that, and like I'll get my material there, or I will just mine my own experience. And it'll be like the first boy to call me beautiful, and so like that's where I start. And then as I'm writing with the first draft, really what I'm trying to do is reach a point of like discovery. And that could be like my own discovery, where I come across something that I didn't consider before and I just like surprise myself, or it can be like some type of discovery for the audience. So with this piece, it's like discovery for the audience. Hey, you get to see, this is what happened. Surprise, sad. But for future drafts, what then I'll try to do is like cut away the fat so I can just get to the intention of the poem and what I want that poem to do, and make sure that every line and word and punctuation mark serves that intention. Yeah, that's it.
Word.
That's it.
So as a person who kind of knows Alexa, the enigma that is Alexa, Alexa is a really good editor and has worked as, you know, like in their bio, you hear like has been a coach a million times and whatever. Alexa, I'm curious, were you always a good editor, or is this something that like came to you in like a boon that or a pact you made with maybe an outer planetary source?
So this is like the first time that I'm really receiving a compliment like this. So I will receive it. So I don't know. But like I would say, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because Kenny, you probably have this too, where when you start out with slam, you know, like you are around so many poets who have a say in how you do your work, right? So it could be like teammates, it could be a coach, it could be when you have guest teaching artists, it can be then when you go to the slam and then you get to see a crowd reacting, and then people literally hold up numbers to like give your poem, right? Like you get that kind of immediate response, you see what works, you see what has impact. And so that will teach you to edit quickly and to take in people's responses quickly. So there's that, you know, and then, I don't know, I mean, reading, reading a lot, and not just reading poetry, but reading fiction. I also listen to a lot of comedy podcasts too, where I listen to like their writing styles as well, which is really interesting. So like being able to take in a lot of people's, I don't know, thought processes as they're diving into their own creative work and what it is that they're trying to do. And I guess it's worked. Thank you.
It has. I'll raise that up. That's funny. I didn't realize that was gonna be the compliment part, that you were like, oh, whoa.
Well, yeah, because it's just like, I thought that is not something that I own. Like, oh yeah, I'm an editor. It's just like,
you're a good editor.
Thanks.
Have you ever done stand-up comedy before? This was not on the thing, but you mentioned.
No.
Really?
No.
We should do it.
No.
Okay. We'll come back to that. Let's circle, Milka, please we'll circle
on it.
We'll circle back to that. So actually, I think we're gonna give Alexa a second to get some water and reevaluate. Actually, no, but just get some water and rest. And real quick, we're gonna tell you a little bit, firstly, about Alexa, and how you can get more into them, and then also a little bit about LMSchat. So we're gonna put all of Alexa's links. You can follow them on Twitter at GetFreeAlexaP. You can follow them on Instagram at Alexa Laurel. And as was stated, they have a book coming out in 2023. They also perform a bunch. They also get published a bunch. Apparently, new Rumpus material coming out soon. So you're gonna want to follow them and be. You know, they're in Southwest as well. So you know they're in DC. People in DC you listen to. These are things that make sense. So yeah, you're definitely gonna want to follow those links. Maybe just cash out them. I don't know. They're cool. Yeah, Milka, did you want to talk about LMSchat? As a director at LMSVoice.
Yeah, I am now the director of operations for LMSVoice. And with that, it gives me access to information similar to what Kenny had mentioned at the top of the show, how you can find Alexa's poetry workshops about Alexa's poems on LMScurriculum.com, which is a part of LMSVoice. And that resource is free. It is a great opportunity for educators and students to get access to poetry that talks about underrepresented topics and just awesome poets. It's super amazing. I love the website. Brian Hannon has contributed so much to how it's to everything with how it's functioning. So please continue to check it out. And if you have more poets to contribute in their poems, just send them our way. But yeah, no, I'm going to give Alexa just a couple more seconds to freshen up, you know.
Really consider the idea. Stand up. Hear me out. Netflix special. I don't know what else to say.
A spin-off show from
spin-off show.
That's what I'm seeing.
We meet Kenan Thompson. It's like, hey, how are you, Kenan? Okay.
Something with a laugh track. You know, I don't think my spirit could take.
I think honestly, same. That's what's holding me back. If I tell a joke and people don't laugh, I'm gonna be like, okay, thank you. Sorry. Whoopsie, sorry.
And now we transition to my favorite part of LMSchat, the culture section. We're just going to expand a bit, zoom out, kind of get a taste of what Alexa Patrick is as a whole. So I think to start us off, I'd like to ask you, since you talk about in your poetry about race, gender, sexism, really, and misogynoir, when you were younger, you know, how did conversations around these topics kind of play out amongst your peers?
I mean, my parents always did a really great job of letting me know that I was Black and making me feel proud to be Black from a very young age. Like there is a story where when I was in preschool, we had some type of project where everyone had to like paint a flag. And so like when the parents came in to see the wall with all the painted flags, it was all like a whole bunch of red, white and blue. And then my mom couldn't find mine. And then the teacher like points at mine and it's like this red, black and green flag. And I'm like 4 years old and I'm just like, That's right.
I love it.
So like that's that's kind of my energy and has always been. That said, when I was in school and when I was around my friends, we didn't really talk about race like that. You know, if anything, there was a kind of silence around it where they, you know, Alexia, you're not really Black, or they legit didn't know that I was Black just because I lived where I lived. Or they would like shy away from saying Black because they thought it was a bad word. And then the times that we did talk about race were, you know, very, very restrained, Black History Month. And then even that had a very specific narrative. So I understood that, you know, there was a kind of culture of silence around race and this kind of comfort, and thus a kind of power then about like getting loud about it. And yeah, and especially also when I got to high school too, where like we weren't having conversations about race, but then I was getting a lot of racist messages online as well, especially when like Facebook started and there was like Honesty Box and Ask FM, those like anonymous, terrible, like anonymous like outlets where people can send you messages. So I was getting a whole bunch of like racist messages there, didn't know who, you know, was sending them. And, you know, these are kids who I had grown up with my entire life. And, or like people would ask me to like would message me to like hook up, but don't tell anyone ever that, you know, I wanted to, you know, so like things like that. So like, there's just like this silence around Blackness. And so I began pushing back a lot and calling people out and doing it loudly, which then ultimately, I mean, it was a pretty lonely endeavor. So by the time that I was in my junior year at high school, like I had a very specific group of people who I felt safe around, because they were the people who could be loud about this thing with me and push back against it with me. Yeah, and so like that's really where my racial understanding came from. I mean, just my personal experience. And then we had in AP psychology, we had this this project where it was like a book report or something. And so I found hidden on the shelves, Beverly Daniel Tatum's book, Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria, which I love. And I realized that there was a language for all the things that I was experiencing. And I was like, wait, what? Like people can study this? And it's like, it's a psychology and people can publish like, yo, this is wild. Yeah, and so radicalized from that point. Then, but my like gender, my understanding of gender didn't really come in until late high school, early college, when I was just, when I was able to see the differences in my experience and say my older brother's experience or my experience or Richie's experience, right? And so I just saw that like, oh, these things interact in really interesting ways. But a lot of the education that I received, it's just like, I mean, it's personal experience. And then, you know, going off into the world and just paying attention and seeing. And now that I know that, oh, apparently there are books that talk about these things, there then is a motivation to go out and like actually look for that information and challenge yourself and to continue learning. So that's a very long-winded answer, but there it is.
Amazing. Just amazing. Yeah, Ken, you got to take the mic.
I got to take the mic. Okay, that's funny.
Come on, my Aquarius
favorite
friend.
section.
That's all I can tell you. I don't know anything else.
Fun. Come on,
okay,
Aquarius.
I'm curious about when you're talking about. So this is something we figure out in high school, the best time of our lives. And when do you get to a point where you feel like you can write about this? Or was that point at the same time, all at the same time?
Well, I wasn't writing that much in high school. So I probably started my senior year because I went to this summer program at Wesleyan. And I wasn't even there for writing. I was there for music. But I was able to take an elective for spoken word. And I was like, I've heard of that. And was able to write then and was writing more about my experiences. But that was also a very safe space to do that kind of work because I was around way more people of color and also like the weird, cool, artsy kids, you know? So it was like, it was a prime fertile ground for like talking about the difficult thing and taking the safe risk, as it were. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So is that also just like period how you got into like spoken word and poetry as well? Just that same Wesleyan?
That's when I started writing it, but I found out about it when YouTube was really popping. And the 2007, 13-year-old Alexa, you know, just in the search bar. And yeah, I would come across old Def Jam poetry videos. And the first poem that I watched was Shihan's Flashy Words.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. I still know it by heart. But yeah, so that was the kind of thing where I was just like, oh my gosh, poetry doesn't have to be like, or like whatever it sounds like at the time. Like poetry can have a little sasson, you know? And so it has a little
finesse.
Yeah. And that really excited me. And I always wanted to try it, but I didn't have a space to. So when I got to Wesleyan, that's when I was able to do it and went pretty well. And then when I got to college at AU, I would just sit in the audience at Busboys and Poets and be like, oh, maybe someday. And I met Pages, who was hosting. Pages was being hired to be the coach of the American University Slam team, which was all white at the time. And he was just like, that's whack. Alexa, can you please be on the Slam team? And I was like, say less. And that is how it went after that. And then
everything was history.
Everything, yeah.
So, I mean, I heard you hinting a little bit about, you know, the influence of music. I kind of want to know more in detail, though, like how does music intersect with poetry for you? And Kenny, I'm sorry if I interjected. I feel like I just like... You're
totally good. You're totally good. Zoom is weird. You're good.
It's okay. It's okay, Sagittarius. You do that. You do that. And I mean, that's also, so that question is something that I'm still asking myself, because I would love to get to a point where I'm able to completely merge, you know, music and singing with poetry. I'm not a great songwriter, like, which is like the easiest, like, well, Alexa, write a song. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. It is so hard. It's so hard. But, you know, the thing is that, like, you know, it's still my voice. It's just a different kind of instrument. I have a comfort with performing, you know, so like that's a benefit where it's just like I've grown up performing. My mother is a professional singer too. So I've grown up watching her perform. And so like, that's like, I just, you know, yeah, that's kind of how it happened. And so, you know, as I'm performing, I am always taking into account, like, how will it sound if I pronounce a word like this? Like the sound of words is definitely something that I pay attention to. So maybe if I have a poem that's a little more angry, a little more cutting, it would be more like consonant, like with the words that I choose. But like small things like that are where it like comes into play. But we'll see. Ideally, sometime in the future, like I would love to do some type of album. Yeah, I'd love to do some type of album that like merges the two. So we'll see.
What genre is this album, would you say?
I don't know. It's a new genre. It's alternative. I cannot be contained.
That's real. I feel like that's every new artist is like, Genre? What is
Genre?
I'm my genre is stars. The night sky.
Also, I'm an Aquarius. Kenny, you know this. Like, what would you say if I asked you that?
As soon as it's like, so you're this genre. Actually,
I'm not.
Wrong.
It'll be hard rock.
Nice. That's funny. I think if my partner is in the chat, she is definitely going to be like, see, I told you Aquarius is always, and I don't have time for that. But Alexa's an Aquarius, if you were wondering why they're so cool. And Milka is not. Anyway,
anything about zodiac signs.
If I could ask another question just before we get into our chop it up, I would love to hear a little bit, and I'm sure some of our people would. You got a book coming out in 2023. Could we hear a little bit about it, or a little bit? I'm just curious if there's like a quick little idea, you know, that you could give us. Like, what do we have? Like a trailer for our heads.
Yeah, for sure. So I am going to read directly because when I try to just riff and explain it, people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. So let me just read what I wrote that seems to make sense. So Remedies for Disappearing, it is going to be published by Haymarket in 2023. And it is an ode to Blackness and Black girls, speaking to those of us who are gone but continue to breathe, and those of us who are here but decide to haunt. And so as I was writing the book, I was taking into account my family history, specifically my grandmother and her 5 sisters. I was thinking about my experience growing up as a Black girl in Connecticut, and then me moving to Washington, DC, processing my experience in Connecticut while also existing in this kind of new space where I look like the people who are here, but I'm not like the people who are here, in that kind of tension, right? So, you know, it's just me coming to terms with those truths and observing my lineage, our love stories, and questioning what disappearing teaches us about our own bodies.
Wow. That felt like words were good there.
Where's the audiobook?
Oh, would you do an audiobook?
Yeah.
For sure. That's nothing.
Well, I mean, like accessibility, you know, like I want to make sure the people can, I'd love to do an audiobook.
I think I almost prefer poetry audiobooks now. Is it
the poet actually reading, or is it like an automated?
It depends. Sometimes it is. It depends on who got time. Nothing but time. Like, I'll do it.
That's awesome. Okay, I would like to transition, if it's okay with you, Milka, to the chop it up section. I've cleared it with Milka. I think we're good. So everyone knows the chop it up section. We send all our guests all the questions except the chop it up questions, because we want their live responses. We want to see them. Anyway, do you want to start, Milka, or should I?
Yes. My first question is, who are 2 artists that need to make a song together?
Dead or alive?
Yeah.
Anybody?
I would like Michelle and Digiocello and Yeba. They're both alive. I don't, but like I could see something interesting happening there.
I was not expecting that answer.
If one of them dies soon, I'm gonna
you'll be like,
at you. That was kind of
weird.
All those thoughts.
Guys, I just need to know what was possible, and then that's what my mind did.
These are good answers. Your favorite Hillary Duff song?
Okay, so great. Personally, I love Metamorphosis because like that beat's crazy or wild. So like that beat, Metamorphosis, whatever it is. Come on, Hillary, she did that. She did that.
She did it.
She did it.
Hillary,
that's my girl.
So this was a debated topic before we started the Zoom, and we gotta hear it because we're very much on opposite ends. So pumpkin or sweet potato pie?
Listen, I know I'm from Connecticut, but sweet potato pie, what are you doing?
That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying.
I'm struggling.
That's what
What kind of question is that? That's anti-Black to ask me that. What are you
That's
doing?
what
Like I was telling Kenny, I just feel like sweet potato pie was trying to be pumpkin pie.
Bro. Alexa, I was literally like, I
gentrified sweet potato pie is what happened. In this house, we believe sweet potato pie. That's wild. Wow. I'm learning a lot about you, Milka.
This is what I'm,
we could have a contest. We could do a little pie tasting. But
the thing is, Kenny, you have to understand, Milka eats things that bark. Okay? So just put it into context. Okay?
This all makes sense now.
All right, Milka, enjoy.
Cool.
I'll bring it to you.
So yeah, you guys all know what the right answer is. Focus. What astrology sign can go?
Cancer.
Sorry. Oh no.
Yeah.
Goodness. Wow.
You're so quick.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
My mom.
I know. Oh, so sad. Be a Gemini. It's pretty easy.
Oh my lord.
Absolutely.
You know, on that note, what's your love language?
So my love language is quality time.
My
love language is quality time. Hang out with me. That's it.
All the cancers in the Zoom.
All the cancers like, fuck.
They don't like me anyway. They don't want, they don't want this.
Alexa versus Cancers 2020. Well, no, it's up. What beauty or fashion moment do you regret most in your life?
She's like, never.
Yeah, I was like,
I was feeling never, but you've
always, like, I was shopping at Limited too, okay? I was shopping at Delia's, get into it. Like, you have to get into it. You know what? No, that's why. Okay, so the fashion choice that I made that I regret was getting a relaxer. That was bad.
It's real.
That wasn't great because I thought I was gonna, like, you know, with my 4C hair when it's relaxed, I thought, you know, and it was stiff. It was, and the kids would make fun of me and they would like lift up my hair and be like, why is it spit out like that? And I was like, yeah. Well, you know, but
there you go.
No.
On that note, how many kindergartners do you think you could take in a fight? And we're, you know, for those of you worried, pillow fight.
A pillow fight?
You can interpret it either way, you know.
How many kindergartners can you find? You know, like that's my counter question. Because I feel like you haven't seen my place, but I have lots of pillows and like I have large pillows. I enjoy a large pillow, like the Euro size. And so I just, you know, I get them.
But so they're a rat. I feel like you're not giving. If there are any kindergartners in the chat, all respect to you. I feel like no respect is being given. They all have very strong little hands.
They are like programmed to rock climb. They just climb on top.
And cousin Todd, I fight too. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
I'm learning.
This might be divisive. What is the third newest picture in your camera roll right now?
What is the third? Okay. Oh, I turned off my phone because of the tornado.
Oh. Sorry.
thought it's because she wanted all of her attention to be on us.
No.
Alexa knew. Who put Alexa on the?
Yeah. But you know what it probably is, I'm guessing. I took a screenshot of my submittable page to show how many declines that I have from posts that I submitted.
You actually need to show me so that I can.
I mean, it's not about that. Yeah, like
I have 5 and they're all no, and I'm like, time to stop.
But the thing is, like, that's what you have to do in order to get your yes. And like, I look at it, I humble myself, I remind myself, like, look, you know, this is just the name of the game. And yeah, but like, I do not know a writer who's just like, yeah, everything's been accepted. It's green all the way down that like, that's not real.
I keep thinking, if it's not me, then why am I? Y'all are gonna say no to me? I'm cool. I wear black sneakers and black shoes sometimes. I don't know what to tell you. Did we have more questions?
I have one more question from Marlet. I've been kind of getting like mixed signals from you, Alexa. So I think both me and Kenny want to know this. Do you rep Connecticut or are you from Connecticut?
Ooh.
It depends on where I am. If I am in Connecticut, I'm from Connecticut. If I'm outside of Connecticut, I rep it. You understand?
No.
Like
That is great.
You know, like I'll be like gazebos everywhere. Like I want, yeah.
Alexa.
Nutmeg State. Like I want us to have
Southwest. Truly, outside waterfront, like Connecticut, bro. Where y'all at?
Yeah. This got nothing on the shoreline. What you talking about?
I've still never been there. It seems like a place. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah. Our guest Alexa, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for being here. What you need to do though, before you leave, you are gonna follow Alexa Patrick. We're gonna put their ats in the chat again. They have so many amazing things that they're doing. You've already heard how amazing of a writer they are. You want to be up to date with what they're doing, where they're going, other things that would go along with those things that I just said.
Like, be my friend. I see all your names, but I don't see your faces, and so it'd be cool to like know who's out there and who's watching. So please, connect with me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Real quick before we dip too, I'd love to bring Brian up just so he can let us know. Hey Brian, who are you gonna be talking to next month?
Well, first of all, thank you, Alexa, for being here. Appreciate having you. It's good seeing you. It's been such a long time. So next month's guest, which will be at the end of April, I believe it's the 28th, but I could be wrong, and I've been stressing about this because I didn't want to get her name wrong. It's Amy Nezukumatatil. So she will be our guest at the end next month. So she's a wonderful poet. Please make sure you are able to make it out, and I will throw it back to you guys again. Alexa, thank you.
And before you all head out, just a reminder, if you don't have an account on LMS Curriculum and want to see more, and you will see more of Alexa's content, please make an account. Make an account. I think I submitted a link.
I like the way you speak it, Milka. You're kind of getting back for the pumpkin thing. It's gonna take some time. You're gonna really have to claw your way back.
I'm gonna bring you guys to my side.
You're absolutely not. You're absolutely not. Good night. Good night,
I'm telling you guys.
If you take one thing away from tonight,
I want to see you eat a bite of pumpkin pie. I just need to see it. I don't even think I can have seen you guys eat it. Like, is it in your household?
I'm good. That sounds like a trap for some reason. This sounds like J. Edgar Hoover might be part of this mission. I'm just gonna. Good night, y'all.
Thank you, Brian.
Good night.
Bye, guys. Thank you.